across the industry, we're seeing more and more road designs which don't conform to a traditional template-based road design and therefore cannot be modelled in that way. So in this example that we see here, we see that there's a very traditional road design going up this part of the road, and then we've got a right angled turn. The alignment actually has got a conventional curve in it, but we've got a right angled turn on the curb, which basically will not model properly with a template based design. So the sort of things that we are seeing happening, if I just flip up in a couple of examples. So here what we've got is we've got a center line string, and the radius of that center line string is less than the half width of the road. And what you basically get is this erratic functionality on the actual channel occurring. So if, for example, this is 10 meters and we go positive chainage to chainage 10.5, we can see that that actually regresses on the channel line. So 10.5 chainage on the channel line is here. Sorry, 10 meters chainage on the channel is here, and 10.5 on the channel is here. So we're getting a regression, which should never happen in a road design, and then we get this erratic functionality. One more similar to the one we're looking at here, where we've got a right angled curve. On the outside it actually seems to be modelled, but on the inside we see this sort of erratic functionality on the inside curve. So essentially what it means is we need to, we can sort of model the road normally, and then we need to deal with these difficult bits independently. So what we want to do here, or what we first of all have, is we've got the road design put in where we've got it, where it will model normally. So therefore we've got a good surface to work to. So if we just jump into the 3D view, we can see that we've got a good surface to work to there. And then what I've done is I've gone in and edited that road and just widened it very, very slightly to make sure that when we're draping on it, then it's going to be wide enough so we can actually drape onto it. So this width should be 275, and I've just widened it out to 277. And then I've taken all the card strings for the channel and the back of footpath and the back of footpath there and the channel, and I've made sure that they're all joined together. So there's a single string for the channel on the right hand side, channel on the left hand side, back of footpath on the right hand side, back of footpath on the left hand side. So there's 4 individual strings. On this project, we needed to do a little bit of tidying up because the card line work wasn't particularly tidy, which is obviously very frequent. And then what we've done is we've selected those strings, and then we've gone to change elevation, and we've chosen surface elevation. So we've selected all 4 of those strings, and then we've hit apply. A couple of important, and that will basically drape the strings onto these surfaces, and you can see that's what we've got here. A couple of important settings just to know about is if we select the road surface here on the left hand side, we go into settings, and if we go into the computations for the corridor, I normally want to set a reasonable sampling distance here for this sort of thing. So instead of 5 meters, I certainly want to densify it. And the other thing is in the properties here, we also have this option to densify the surface. And that will basically just make sure that we've got sufficient density in the actual surface itself. So now what we have, if we turn the road surface off, so I'm just going to go into the road surface here and just turn it off, is that we have, I want to probably turning the road surface back on, I want to be very careful to inspect that that draped line has done what I wanted it to do. So you can see I've just pulled it out 2 centimeters, so it's not going to make any any reasonable problem with heighting. And I just want to make sure that that's draped properly onto the road surface. So these card strings are now sufficiently modelled in their height from the road model that we've built up. I can see that I've got this little problem here as it drapes on through the surface. So I'm just going to grab that string. I'm going to choose Edit, and I'm just going to go into these. We've got a few vertical ones here, so I'm just going to remove those. So you can see they're draping all these heights onto the top of the footpath, which we definitely don't want. And I'll remove that one there as well. And because we don't have a surface here, we don't have any problems there. So it all looks fine. Now what I want to do is I want to basically just model this part independently. So I'm going to go out to the plan view, and I'm going to right click. So I'm selecting this outside channel string, and I'm right clicking and I'm choosing Edit. And then I'm going to go and add a new vertical point of intersection on the outside here. So I'm just going to go plus. It's going to be an offset slope relative to the centerline string, and it's going to be positive 2.5 in this case. And we're adding a separate height there. And you can see that's what it's basically done, is it's taken from the centerline string a separate height to positive 2.5. So there's going to be a set grade going along this line here and a set grade going in here. On the inside, because this is relatively short, I'm not going to add anything here at all. So if we just select the string, so we can see where we've got height levels here, and we've got levels here that are coming from the road design, and we've got a set transition going through there, which looks reasonable. And then we obviously have to resolve this in a similar way. So what I can do is I can just select this string here, right click, Edit, and we want to put in that is a new vertical point of intersection, offset slope from the centerline string, positive 2.5, and we're going to put it there. What I suggest we would now do is, just from a quick QC point of view, is I'm going to select these. I'm just going to select the channel strings because I haven't modeled the top of curb strings. So I'm just going to select the channel strings, and I'm just going to create a quick surface. Road check. Hit OK. And I'm going to ignore the areas outside the road. And I'm just going to select this again, and I'm going to show some slope arrows. In the 2D view, it's more useful. And I'm just checking the water runs. Maybe just turn these slope arrows slightly to make them slightly smaller. So you can see them in the main bit of the road. And we're just checking that the water is going to do what we expect it to do. So we're just checking that water is going to run the way we expect it to run. And that all looks pretty reasonable to me. What we can also do here is probably turn the gullies on, or the gully layers on, and check it there. Very useful one to use as well is obviously the surface slicer view. And we can just slice our way through. Just make sure that we've got the right surface. So we've actually got both surfaces on there. So we're just checking that there's nothing untoward between both surfaces. There's obviously, and if we go down here, we'll see a very dramatic difference probably between the surfaces. It's actually handled that one not too bad, but we can see there's differences here, that's for sure. So the next step is to export this for setting out in the controller. So before we export, all what I've done is I've actually just grabbed that surface that we've created and I've chosen to make it alignment based. So it's actually using the centerline string there. So this centerline string here. And I've trimmed out some of these triangles. And now we can export this. And we go to export. And we're going to choose to go to land XML. Exporter. And I'm going to select the surface, the centerline strings, and the line strings. And I would normally get the back of footpath strings here as well, but I'll just leave those just now. And then I'm going to choose to export this. And then we can see what we do in Access now. So once we have this XML file inside Trimble Access, we can just select it, make sure it's ticked, and make sure it's got the box around it. Definitely, I would recommend to make sure that your settings here is not to explode polylines. It will create a bit of hassle. And then we can select the road, we can hit stake out, and the default is now strings and surfaces. So we can choose what the primary stationary string, which was this one here, automatically selected. And then we can choose here a chainage on the string. We can select the string, we can choose the chainage, we can type in the chainage, so if we want to set it out at 130. And then under options, you have the option whether it's to the alignment or to the selected string. So if I do to the alignment, so let me just escape, let me put the horizontal and vertical offsets in there. And we can see here to the alignment will basically offset it relative to the centerline string. And then we have the option here to the selected string, which will do it right angles to the selected string. You can see here, you've got the options here to just to the string, which will just give you your current location, wherever you are relative to the string. And again, you can put construction offsets in there as well. So that's a quick overview on how to deal with these awkward strings that we're increasingly seeing in modern road designs.